Guess I'll start then, Steve.
Yeah, sorry. I was just it took a while for the sound to come through, that's all. So yeah, I'm stuck at work. So if Donna can chair the meeting, that would be awesome. And then I can just listen in from here.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so moved by Alan, seconded by Dave, that this meeting be opened at 6 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and we've got the adoption of the agenda. So I just want to say again that there's no captain coming.
Correct.
Okay, so we have requested that a captain come every other. So is it notice, or are we giving them enough notice, or do they
It just
know?
something comes up. One of my captains is runs his own business, and that's who was supposed to come. And he just popped up, came up, and
Okay, so maybe if you have like a captain and then one on deck, maybe for future, that might, like, so then if someone can't make it, there's a plan B, right?
Yep.
So, okay, perfect. Moved by Josh?
Yeah.
Seconded by Alan, that the agenda for the Emergency Services Committee meeting for November 18th, 2024 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interests. None. Adoption of previous minutes, moved by Alan, seconded by Josh. That the minutes of the Emergency Services Committee meeting held October 21st, 2024 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. No presentation and delegations, and that brings us to staff reports.
right. So the activities from the fire department from the 16th to the 14th of November, we have responded to 4 calls for service. One being a medical call November 13th at 5:36 p.m. 3 responders. We last about an hour. Another would be a carbon monoxide call on November the 2nd at 7 o'clock at night. 5 volunteers responded, 2 hour duration there. A medical call on November 2nd at 5:56 in the morning. 3 volunteers responded with a 1 hour duration of the medical call. As well as October 22nd, another medical received at 6:40 in the PM. 2 volunteers responded, 1 hour duration. Brings us to 56 calls for service to date. We are sitting at 18 operational volunteer firefighters right now still, which is good, holding strong. We've been, our weekly training is progressing. We did 3 smoke alarm and carbon monoxide inspection nights as opposed to training, so we hit the hamlet up. We managed to get through to 55 homes, which is much more than we've been able to cover in the past. A lot of the guys split up into groups. We had good turnout, so we had a good amount of teams, senior guys, younger guys, go out and tackle that stuff.
It was pretty well received.
It was, was for the most part pretty well received. There was some pushback, but more positive than we've had.
Because you're there to help, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's still new now. Everyone's just kind of, well, we haven't seen you in the past, and well, what's kind of thing. But
yeah.
Most part, we explained it, and then it was smooth sailing from there. So it was really good.
Yeah, it's not punitive. It's
No.
about safety
No,
and
it's education.
information. Exactly.
That's all it is. Yeah. So that sucked up a lot of our training nights. The guys did come out and spend an extra hour. Coming out to the training night before, so we went 6 to 9 for carbon monoxide and smoke alarm inspection, so that was well received. We did sneak in a work night, and then we had a surprise recognition one training night too, was not planned. But during our training, well, we only got one work night done, so we went through our,
It wasn't planned.
it wasn't planned.
It's like surprise.
Yeah, it was.
Oh. How did that happen? Oh, someone came and had good news and it was
Somebody,
like,
yeah,
oh, yay, okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to,
sort of. But we went through our checks still, all the SCBA's got checked. And the bunker gears got looked over to make sure that everybody's still ready for service. So that at least the basic stuff still gets done at least monthly. It's good. We do have some special training coming up. As you know, I did attend the Resilient Minds course last month. I found it to be very beneficial. It was a course geared for yourself as well as your fellow firefighters, but then there was another little tidbit that I didn't know. It was also to help the firefighters assess the patients for signs of stress or panic or anything, and how to mitigate that and how to just kind of smooth things over and how to talk to somebody. So I found it super beneficial. They contacted me last week and offered the course again on December the 7th. So far, I've got 3, all the officers and the deputy chief is going.
and is there a cost for that one?
There is no cost. That is picked up by
What we
the
like to hear.
Ontario Health and Mental Health Institute. So that'll be an 8-hour course for them. And I found it very beneficial for everyone to have that. If they open it up again, I'm gonna try to pump more firefighters through, and I'm gonna reach out to them this week to see if all the seats have been filled, and if not, I'll make sure I fill them. As well as all the officers and the chiefs are now IMS 100 certified, which was one of our goals to reach within the 6 months, and we have reached it with great success. Again, onto fire prevention, we did the 3 smoke alarm and education nights. So the 55 homes, it was probably within 90% of them were in compliance. Everybody was up to date, and then the people that weren't, they didn't take it as a punitive thing. They were actually interested in hearing how everything was and how, if this is supposed to go down a lot of the older residents who needed a little extra education. I don't think we supplied any smoke alarms or battery thing, but
We supplied 1 smoke alarm to 1 household because they did not have any. They did not have any working. They were outdated. They weren't working, and that was one of the ones that it's older couple, so make sure they have at least 1. They were all on board. They were all. We didn't realize they were expired.
For sure.
So they were headed out the next day, but I sent the guys back with 1 smoke alarm because I felt safer
Yeah,
having that than nothing.
Yeah.
So.
I check mine regularly, just by cooking. Sorry. I know they're working.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah. Sorry.
good, it's all good. For community involvement, this term, we did a good remembrance day. Myself and then Josh accompanied myself with the mayor for not East Ferris calendar. That was good. We flew the flag for Bonfield and all those municipalities and connected with the East Ferris Fire Chief. We had a lengthy conversation on some ideas that we're going to collaborate together. So that was very good. The fire chief, myself, deputy fire chief Josh, are planning to attend the emergency control group this Thursday. We're both going to be there with Alan in East Ferris. So that'll be educational.
Yeah, you'll find the IMS 100 will come in very handy at this exercise.
Perfect.
So it's good because you learn it and then you actually get to see it in practice and put it to use, right? So.
So as well as October 26th, the fire department did participate in the Halloween parade. We had 2 fire trucks in there, 7 personnel were involved. The feedback I got was very good, very positive. The guys had fun.
What was your
Well,
favorite
they were doing
float though?
I wasn't here actually.
It was Wizard of Oz, wasn't it? Was it Wizard of Oz?
It was, yeah, it was Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home there. And then October 31st, we did our haunted firehouse with a very good response. We had a lot of youngins running through there. We had a lot of tears coming out of
Yeah, it
them.
looks scary.
They did very good. The guys had a fun time with that. Gave away a lot of candy. And in the end, we did get smiles, but there was some tears. Some tears.
Firefighters scaring the children.
Yeah. It's fantastic, right?
You good, Steve?
Yep.
Yeah, you just fell down for a minute there.
Just my phone. I have no iPad today.
Okay. Okay, so that was the recent calls. We've done training and community involvement. So now we are on the review updates. So I just want to ask, because we received a review update on fire chief department plan. And then that's 7A, and then 7C is receive and review fire department action plan task. So I don't know what the difference is, and I think maybe we can consolidate these two. And
I was assuming we were all talking about the same big sheet here.
but there's another one, isn't there? Is there two?
This was C. I don't remember, David, is A your plan?
Your
That
plan?
was the previous?
That's the one we talked about now.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
had a plan and we had a plan, so
Well, plan for good.
yeah, we need to
Yeah.
Let's consolidate those.
yeah.
Okay.
If we assume that A and C are supposed to be the same.
Or
In the end, they all do work the same because I'm working towards these goals, which happen to be some of the goals that we brought up
yeah.
in that meeting.
I have a feeling though that there are different goals on each, but we need to, so that's an action item. If we can consolidate A and C going forward, that would be excellent. And I think that you're just gonna put everything into teams, right?
Yes.
So this nice checklist, yes.
Yeah.
So all of it will move.
As I've been rolling through this list, I have been updating teams, and then I emailed just this afternoon that I did do another update, and then I messaged you to see if that worked.
You messaged me. I did not get into Teams to look,
Okay.
but you told me that you uploaded it, which works perfect, because then I know when I go in Teams to look.
And we can actually set up notifications, so when you change something, we can get an email that you changed it.
That's a thing you'll have to show me.
Yes,
Let's
I can.
do that. Yeah, so I am crunching through this.
Good. Yeah.
This list is getting squashed pretty good.
So if we want to go through this list right now, or wait?
I think so. Maybe we can do it kind of quickly and highlight, because I think we need to just make sure we're on track and everybody's, and if you need support or, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I think the first thing is, this was from the other OneNote spreadsheet that was presented originally back in February 2024. So, and then in July, I'm gonna put this into Teams into a task list. So assigned to and completed date, I mean, these were all assigned to the fire department. Obviously working with whoever we needed to, like with the treasurer for the budget and all that stuff. So they're all assigned to the fire department. So, but it's blank on here. But maybe today, if there's something that should not be assigned to, we can kind of work on that, and as well as the completed dates or milestone dates on what we can do, so that we can populate this as well.
Well, we did have some questions going through this list. Some of these task names, for instance, evaluate medical calls. I
Mhm.
wasn't sure exactly what you were asking.
Okay, so over on this side, there's a description, so evaluation of medical calls, events, training, supplies. Need to establish to amend the establishing bylaw to limit the risk. What are we doing? On those medical calls, so, kind of right back, so. And we spoke about this before too, where, you know, we've heard from our medical professionals that there are certain. Conditions that we need to plan for better for our healthcare in Bonneville, and those also come out of medical records. So on those medical records, are we going to repeat houses? Are we having the same issues? Is there some education pieces that we can work with the doctors for? So it's kind of that, it's integrating all of our services, because we don't work in silos. We have to work together. So it's about evaluating what that looks like and how we can partner with the medical professionals to make sure that we're addressing what needs to be addressed and making the education out there known. We're not breaking confidentiality in that.
Mhm.
It's just the generals and the basics, right?
Right.
Because we know from the medical field, but we don't know from the fire department what you're responding to in medical calls. So that's part of it. On the budget, I mean, there's medical calls. You've listed 4 medical calls from last month, and there were some from the month before. In the budget, there are 0 supplies spent on medical supplies. So is this something that we need to increase the budget for, decrease the budget for? So they kind of need to be reviewed in that kind of regard as well.
Okay.
And just a word about the list itself, it was really done without context. I took that report and I punked it in here. So some of the stuff is likely not correct, right? And so if you see things
Yeah.
and they need to be changed, by all means, like
Okay.
this is your list, so.
All right, understood.
So sorry, so just keeping in line with calls, for things, and I know this had come up before, when you go to calls like a hydro down or whatever, are we charging back hydro? So how are you doing that?
We are not charging back hydro, we charge Ministry of Transportation.
Okay, so we are getting money back,
Yeah.
so, okay.
Yeah.
So whoever needs to be charged is getting charged,
Yeah.
and that's going through Santana to Nikki?
That goes through an MTO portal that we do.
Okay,
Just go
and
through that and it automatically gets billed back.
And I don't think we've received anything for 2024.
No.
No. So I don't know if you can follow up on some of the calls and see where MTO is on that, so that we can make sure to capture that revenue in the year.
Yeah, because that's important, that it's coming up to year end.
Even if you submit the invoices or what you submitted to MTO and you let me know that, I know to put it into accounts receivable.
Right, and then when we don't get it, then we know, okay, we didn't get this, we need to follow up.
Mhm.
And Santana can probably help with that too, right?
Yeah, so you can just go back for 24 and let me know what you've already submitted. There's been a couple of calls, maybe, so, and we know what's been submitted, so I can put that in accounts receivable.
Too little on the highway this year.
And the budget, we're gonna discuss that a little later, but it is on here as well. And, we probably understand that in previous years you weren't involved very heavily in the budget, but it is your budget. And you are responsible. So, and like looking at some of these numbers, like you just gotta make sure that things are getting charged appropriately and that they're coming out, right? If you don't see an actual amount on here, it means that there's an invoice missing somewhere. So, right, if you know that there's an expenditure, it has to go against your budget, so.
Yeah.
And it's a paradigm shift for you, it's, but I think it's beneficial. Yeah.
I think we did the budget 2023 together very well, so I'm sure if we just get back to that routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I worked on that quite well. Then the breathing apparatus, I think you know what that's all about.
Yep.
So
if I could go manipulate this, like pumps and ladders, now I'm putting those together, the generator testing is going into another small equipment. So a lot of with anything to do with tracking and inventory, I've created spreadsheets. I'm gonna review them with Josh tonight. If he sees something that maybe we should add or that we don't need it. And I've created a massive amount of spreadsheets for it that are printable that guys can fill out, and then
But they're only in one file, right?
it's all in one file
And the
with
work,
different
they've got
tabs.
worksheets, okay.
Yeah. And then I can get Santana to do the data entry when the time comes. But once I finalize that, I'll post the team. And make sure everybody gets a notification that that's there, and you guys can review it.
Yeah, because it is nice, I'm sure Alan and Nikki, their eyes on it too, might look and say, oh, we can do this sufficiently, or
Yeah.
you don't need this, or you forgot this, or whatever, so. that would be-
So like I said, I'm just gonna go through that with the deputy and we're gonna finalize it, hopefully within a week. So I had a lot of that stuff, apparatus testing, generator testing, ladder testing, inventory, the bunker gear. I did upload the bunker gear tracking today. So that's in there as well with the SCBA's. You should be getting our breathing apparatuses tested shortly. We've contacted AJ Stone. They're setting up their technical rep. He's hard to get a hold of. So that's good.
And then did you get in touch with Wayne for the mini pumper?
No, I have not. I haven't talked to Bob about that tonight.
Okay,
Well, that covers a lot of the data and the paperwork.
Sorry, just the mini pumper, it broke down
mhm.
a while ago.
It broke down. When did Cody have that? A couple weeks?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
a couple weeks ago.
okay, let's not leave that much, like, tonight, but be sure so that we can call Wayne in.
Yeah, so we had brought it up in the past and it was it was fine when I drove it. If it's not doing it when I drove it, then I can't see what the issue is, we can't. So that's kind of where that went.
And then it died somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It happens.
Does, I
We just
understand.
don't want it to.
Yeah.
We want it to be checked, maybe Wayne,
Yeah.
Wayne might have like a little thing he can put to figure out what it is, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get where he's coming from too, as a
Yeah.
mechanic. I know when I go and test an aircraft out, it's like, it didn't do it for me. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Can't recreate that.
Can't
Yeah.
recreate the
Yes.
snag, so I.
Absolutely.
The review of who's responding, so you know that we are reviewing who's responding, we have been using the fire queue now for a good month of actual calls. I think I like it. The members like it. So far, it's been pretty good for reporting, data entry. To keeping track of the calls, it keeps track of the responders on scene, how long they've been exposed. It does a lot more than we've found with who's responding. I did find out that who's responding, we can cancel at any time with no penalty whatsoever. And I said the cost is pretty much on par for both services. I will come up with a final report probably in December when we make up our mind before we renew. We renew with who's responding in January. The cost will be the same, but we'll just be switching up, so.
Yeah. So
That's
you'll go
where
through that process with Nikki, because
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
process, yeah.
we will, we'll
Yeah.
bring that to you.
Yeah.
If you can get me the report, show me what the app looks like, kind of let me go through and show it to you. That would be great. Yeah, because I don't think I'm on that.
No,
Hold on,
Oh,
who's
fire queue
responding?
is who's responding is
Yeah.
still
I am
active, we
not.
still use that one. But fire queue is new, that one.
Can you add Nikki to it right now for the test or for this?
absolutely, I can. I just need your information and I'll be able to add you in tonight when we get there.
Excellent, thank you.
It'll send you an email with request for adding. And you just follow the steps in there and it'll line you up.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not much different than prior.
It is
No,
actually.
It's much.
Okay.
It's a lot more.
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
But it's better.
It's better.
Yeah.
There's a
I
lot
meant
more.
the online, the onboarding process.
Oh, the odd,
Who's responding was some.
yeah, this is simple. It's
Just follow
it.
all of our guys have had no issues,
Right.
so. Okay, I will get that before I leave.
Perfect. So can we go back to the top, maintaining inspection reports? I think we skipped a couple. So there's the bunker gear.
Yeah,
Have you ordered?
Rob's coming in tonight.
Okay,
Canada's coming in tonight to do a generic measure on everybody.
Okay.
okay, perfect.
You know, I'll have a ground conversation with him tonight about.
We're running out of time, so
Before
half past
December
something.
31st, that's right.
And inspection reports? You said that you created in your other report, you have new equipment checklist and maintenance for tracking created, so.
Yeah, that's the spreadsheet I was talking about, or the
Oh.
Excel sheet
Okay,
that you, once the data gets entered, you can just go in online and see what's been done, where, the dates, and who did it.
okay, so that will go with that.
And so that's what you're creating now, or
That's
it's
what we're creating,
created?
I created it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to review it
Okay,
to get other ideas, if there was something I missed,
and then it's going into Teams.
then it's gonna go
for-
into team.
Okay.
And I'll get you alert, we'll set up a notification system now. or a group chat or whatever. That's what I did with you today, just to chat to see if it worked.
Yeah, that was
That-
good.
And then the establishing bylaw. We talked about, so, yeah, we know that's what you said, and that's our February deadline,
That's our
right?
February deadline, yeah. Talking
February
about for
25. But if you have a draft or even parts of a draft prior to February, send them off to me so that we can review.
And then, so just for what we've already reviewed, what's the deadline for that, for them? Because I feel like we're talking about checklists and stuff, but is there a deadline for them or?
Well, yeah, that's, all of this is together. You already have it
Yeah.
drafted, so if we say for December, when do we meet?
15th?
Yeah, 15th, the 10th is the Tuesday. 10, 11, 12, 13th, so for December 13th.
13th?
Just did it not print out the dates or the dates not in it?
Date's not in it.
Dates are not in it? Okay,
This is what I.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is further down, but.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where we had already.
yeah,
so.
there is no assigned to or the complete by, okay, so that all is missing information.
And we assign them off to the fire department, but if you have them assigned to specific captains, then we can amend this to be, it's assigned to this captain or
Yeah.
that captain. Just so that you then have that accountability for them too.
So when I go
So
into
just
the
let us
task
know.
list and I
Yeah.
can assign that to somebody that populates in this sheet.
Yes.
by itself.
Yes. Mhm. All integrated, yeah.
So maintain data and the paperwork,
Mhm.
that's what we're also gunning for on the December 13th with all these spreadsheets, also with the
And the-
implementation of fire. You, it organizes and maintains live clouded base call report as well.
Cloud-based.
Cloud based.
Others, and
This, so go ahead.
yeah, eventually, the fire queue is integrating, equipment checklists and
Mhm.
equipment inspections. So that could be done through there as well, and then you can pull up a spreadsheet of all the equipment and the checklists and efficiencies and everything like that. And the dates, and you can do that right from your computer. So that may be somewhere we can look at going eventually, once they've integrated that, if we do end up going with fire queue.
That would be great. Part of the maintaining data and the paperwork is also for the annual reports too, because we get reports. We get the request from the ministry every year that we're late, so it's about maintaining so that we can submit on time.
Report.
There's an annual report that you have to submit into the ministry.
Okay, so that must be my SIRs, which they do email us every year to say, this is the deadline. We've met the deadline last year, we met the deadline well before it. This year, we're in great shape, we're keeping up with the SIRs.
Well,
So,
that
yeah.
would probably
Good thing.
dovetail into the KPIs too, because if you've got reports and stuff, then you need to start creating KPIs and metrics, right? So you need to establish them and then probably run them by Nikki to see, so that when, Bonneville does its annual report, we would include them. And
Yeah,
if you
that'd be
could, I'm not sure if you can do qualitative. Quantitative is easy. I'm not sure how you're gonna do qualitative. Which is usually improvements stats, right? So how are you improving? So basically, what you do is you test people before, then you train them or you give them actual things to do, and then you test them after, and then you can actually show what's improved. So I just think about it though, right? This is a think about. I think Alan would be a great resource for this as well.
But you had to do it in KPIs like that.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
It might be
I
something like.
have some ideas for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you have bunker gear, you do testing and you
Yeah.
make them get the
Yeah.
bunker gear on quickly, so. When someone first comes in or they're a probation one, and then how long does it take them, and then the next one is, okay, so now they're done, like we've shaved 20 seconds off. That kind of.
Yeah.
We are improving that way, that's.
it's
So-
improved
Basic
knowledge, right?
example.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, and to that, first one, when we do our sign off sheets, if they failed their first time pass, that sign-in sheet goes to that they failed with the time,
Mhm.
that goes into their record book.
Right,
And then if they do it again, say we do it a month later, we go through it again, and they pass it this time, well, then that one goes in as well, so we do see those.
you see the improvement.
We see the
Yeah,
improvement,
yeah,
the
yeah.
other way is through the online testing that we use. We can see all of their marks
Mhm.
for those quizzes and tests for each chapter.
Right, so you
And
can,
then we have to go through that IFSA book every 2 years, so on a 2-year rotation, we'll be able to see where they stand compared to last one.
right, so you can literally do a percentage increase, so this
Yep.
person increased by 20% or right,
Yep.
yeah, so that's, and again, that, the qualitative is a little harder than, you know, how many calls have we gone through, and
Yeah,
that's,
that's
yeah,
facts.
that's quantitative, that's easy, so.
Yep.
Yeah, but, that's a good little think around the qualitative.
And I think we skipped over to consider the dispatch position
Yeah.
too. So fire queue, you said is kind of working better. So maybe we don't
Yeah.
need the dispatch position, but maybe we still want that.
It does a lot of the stuff that gets missed on a call, like time in, time out,
Mhm.
who's there, that kind of stuff. That would alleviate the dispatch position. I've also inquired about a virtual dispatch position, which includes the call recorder, which came up at a meeting that we had with the.
Yeah.
We don't have that here. I did get a quote for that equipment. It's fairly expensive, because we're on the older system, the old analog system, a lot of the features that we'd be paying for can't be used. But it's something to consider that I'm still getting data off of it and I'm getting, I got a little demo because didn't everything. So he showed me that instead of a dispatch, this is what we did, and it's a whole system and it records, so the guys afterwards, they can come down, they can sit, they can run through the call, audible, make any notes that they missed.
I think East Fair says that as well. But maybe we can touch on that when we go over the grant application. So maybe it's
Include
not
that
a
in
right
there.
now.
That was the one, that's the turbo backs.
Yeah, well, yeah, so it's, and I included enough radios between. Public Works and Fire that we can probably shift all the fire to digital. And then you can use the system, and then we could put the other radios, you know, your extra radios, not get them rechanneled or whatever. And they can work off the analog. It's not critical that they record their logs. It's more critical for you. So we got some maneuverability in the app, but when we finally got some money, so something like 14 radios that we could replace.
Oh.
I don't know how many you active radios you have.
Right around that number, I'd say.
Yeah.
We're close to that. We've got a couple
Maybe we can find a
digital,
few bucks.
we've got a couple digital capable
By the
right
doctor.
Yeah.
So we do have some that can switch over to. the
Yeah.
system.
So, you know, once we get that system, if the grant goes through and we get the money we have, then we've got some opportunity to get that system up and running the way it should be used. Just covered my agenda item.
Yeah.
So there's more.
Staying with that position, we talked about the chief apparatus officer. I like the name. Dave doesn't like the name, so I don't care where you call him, but so what might be helpful, and I know that you've got like your training list and everything else, but like an org chart, a fire org chart would be can you do that, or do you want us to do that, or and then you populate
Actually,
it?
I'm working on a new work chart, because that will be part of the ENR bylaw. That's a flow chart of who does what.
Yeah.
That'll be incorporated in the ENR bylaw.
Yeah, so maybe like what we were saying, if we have certain things done, the ENR bylaw has like 4 different sections, so maybe the first about governance, maybe we get that. Bring it back to the committee in December, and then we can nail that down, so that'll have the org chart, kind of what you think your structure should be. And then in December, we can bring in, you know, like what are our services gonna be? And how are we gonna respond, and what our training needs are, and then January, we can work on enforcement pieces and our gaps.
There's gaps.
Yeah, and then by February, we would actually be ready to bring it to council, but if we work on it in smaller pieces, it might not be as daunting, because I know it's a large document. And it's the most important document for fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe if you bring that first governance one to the December meeting,
Okay, so that's another action item.
yeah, that'll help us kind of.
And it kind of focuses us too, right? Just if we do it in steps. We covered everything on the first page.
Public ed. So the last three things on the first page are all about public ed. So the home inspections, they're ongoing,
They're ongoing.
and so you've got the Hamlet. What, quarter?
I'd say we're the Hamlet, we're probably over 50%.
Okay. And then we have the rural and the Rutherglen. Hamlet.
Yes, yeah.
So
how-
what's the plan to get those?
Though, we're gonna have to now spread our training nights out. We'll do maybe one every 2 months of just dedicated home inspections. Until we get into that October again, where we dedicate the fire prevention week, fire prevention months, we'll take the entire month of October
Yeah,
and. hit
so then
fire
we're in a
prevention hard.
routine,
Yep.
right? And
Yeah.
then going forward, then
With-
that's.
Yeah, with the new training schedule, I'm asking and we're gonna incorporate at least one. Smoking carbon monoxide inspection night. One every other month, if we can squeeze it in.
Yep, absolutely.
So do we expect that we will have all of it done by this time next year?
The entire township.
Like, this is a plan with like, okay, so what's our deadlines, or maybe we want to set shorter deadlines and piecemeal it? Or,
I can't say for sure that we would be done the entire Rutherglen Bonfield area by this time next year.
I think we could be done the Bondfield area.
Yeah.
So maybe if we planned on, this year is Bondfield and,
like 2025,
Uh,
or,
2025.
yeah, 2025, completing the whole Bondfield area. And then, starting next October, we'll hit the hamlet of Rutherglen, and then we'll complete Rutherglen within the 1 year into 2026. And then we'll just keep rotating back and forth every other year
Like ground
Yeah.
pepper.
in Bondfield.
So that's,
well, hold on, what about the rule?
So we'd include that, so we'll look at a map and decide where we wanna make that
Yeah.
cutoff.
Okay,
So we'll do the Bondfield section, this would be 2024, 2025.
Okay.
And then this will be 2025, 2026.
Okay.
And then we'll just keep back and
So-
forth, or if there's problem areas that we notice that are recurring, then we'll make those a
big
special
target, yeah.
target.
So what we need now is you just to document that. So it's just like almost kind of like the report that you did. You put a little bit of a background why you're doing it, and then you put the plan, right? So it's a one pager so that it goes in the binder. It's part of what you're doing now, right?
Yep.
So it's part of our plan. So anybody can walk in and read, and come March, they can pick up and say, oh, so they've already done the Bondfield Hamlet, so let's do, so if you can, and then maybe use your maps, attach maps or whatever to it
Yep.
as well, so that should be documented. And that seems like these are low hanging fruit
Yeah.
things, right, that you can just whip off
Yep.
easily, and
Yep.
they're quick wins,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's,
so get them off the task list.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
A discussion we'll have about where we wanna make that cutoff and
Yeah.
kind of look at our collection of. Community members,
yeah.
and we'll see, kind of try to split it evenly.
Well, and you might even have a volunteer who's like, oh, I'm passionate about public education. They might be this sort of community outreach
Yep.
lead, right? And so
absolutely.
in your org chart, you can identify this individual and make them responsible for this, to keep you on track too,
Yep.
because you guys have a lot
Yep.
to do, right?
Yes.
So you want to start delegating.
Yep.
But it's good, when you delegate, you have to have something specific to delegate, because you can't just say, hey, can you tell everybody about this, right? You need to give them specific information, because then you know that they're gonna succeed.
Absolutely.
So the other two pieces are the budget, which we can chat about, but then what's the plan with our topic list, so for public ed? 2024 is supposed to be a green light, but I don't think we spent any money on public ed in 2024. I don't think we did
We bought some
big,
fire prevention stuff. Didn't do a big green light, and now that I've opened the channels with East Fairs, they have to say maybe we, as a joint volunteer world, we can get together with those guys and talk about maybe if they have some ideas as well. Which, because I think it's still a good thing. I did make a few posts on our page, and a lot of questions came out of that from citizens asking about these green lights, and I didn't know what this green light matters. We had a lot of people moved up
Yeah.
from down south, they don't typically see it or with a green light on it.
Yeah, if any municipality, they have the sign right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it's like the screens, like all over.
Yeah.
Should we have a green light sign?
Check the budget, see what we have left in this year's budget.
Check it, so put right there.
Yeah.
They might want it. It's gonna come out of your budget, right? So. I don't have a green light.
And then whatever you want to do for 2025, it's a
Yeah.
focus.
And
Just making
Yeah.
sure public ed is,
Public education is gonna be.
On our radar, and
It is.
it's a
It was
discussion we've had.
identified in the community risk assessment.
Yeah.
So, definitely.
yeah, and so and it.
you remember the story,
No, go ahead.
but these started in February, right?
Yeah.
This action list started in February, so if I don't have a plan since February to say this is our public
Yeah.
ed. Then I don't have anything to say that we can take this off the list.
Yeah.
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 But it'll be an ongoing list, because every year you're gonna have to, you should do
It should be
something for public ed.
Well, and again, this is your stuff with the, like what you did with the school, okay, that's all public education, anything that you do with the community, it's community outreach and public education, so. I mean, I know you guys do a lot.
Yes.
Sorry, the other thing that you can do with this too is whenever there's an event, you guys are sometimes, so like July 1st, you guys had a booth. That's public education, right? So that needs to go on your plan, so. Again, low hanging fruit, get a piece of paper and write down all the stuff that you do. And then do it again next year, and that's your pub ed plan, right? Same format as the thing that we just talked about, right? Outreach in the homes, so this is this, yeah, so here's two things that you could probably knock off by December 13th and bring back to us. Cause you're already doing all of this.
We have the community open house,
Mhm.
and we set up our first aid booth for Canada Day.
Canada Day, yeah. And then last year, you guys did a car wash and you did show me how to use the,
Actually,
Yeah.
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 That was the community day open house.
That was,
Yeah.
yeah, that was community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot of documenting.
It is, you just, yeah, if you just keep writing all the stuff that you do, so it's gonna take time, but this is what we're looking for.
Okay.
That's on the action plan for the FPO. You did talk to us about that, so you can just populate those things and put in your expected
Yeah.
milestones on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause you do have that under go right now.
I do, it's undergo right now, and if you log on to the Teams, I did upload my training plan for the FPO.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all available for everyone to see. I did see that there's a task, like a checklist within the task. I
Mhm.
didn't quite figure that out, but when I do, I'll populate all the courses, and then as they get done, you'll see them being checked off as well.
And you can put a task in there and you could have 5 subtasks in it. Yeah. You can just check them off from the time.
Cool. We'll do that.
Saves a lot of work and rework. You can do a lot in this, and by the time you're finished updating the particular action item, you got the assigned to, you got the completed date, you got in progress, and you can create notes in there. So all your documentation is done, right? You don't have to write a whole bunch of reports after it. Just go and look at the
Just go on there.
online and look at it. Yeah.
And we have a name now, right? Because you were reaching out to someone the next day and then.
Okay.
Maybe next time we can put the list up on the screen.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And then, yeah, so that we're not working off paper, we're
Yes.
working off of the computer. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we got the create training sign off policy and training document records, kind of all hand in hand. We have been doing the training sign offs after a training night, guys that have participated and were successful in the training. It does get signed off, it does get recorded and filed away.
But their attendance is taken at the end of the course?
Their attendance is taken at the end. If they have a punch in, punch out. Yes, as they show up, they clock in at their time as they leave.
Yeah, we've got a sign in, sign
For the
out
training.
sheet now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things from the OFM when they said, because when we looked at the training book with the OFM, there was a list of, this is the training that the firefighters took on that day, but it was just a list of all the names. It didn't actually say that they were there for the entire time. So he said, make sure that who's there for that training session, and it specifically says that, you know, it's signed at the end.
I can upload the new form that we use, so you can see how it's laid out. And then if you want to pop by, I can show you one of the records that we have in our training notes. It is a sign in, sign out basis, right?
Well, that sounds like it covers it. So it's good.
So if you have a whole bunch of these templates, you should store your templates in one sort of central place
We're gonna
too.
use the teams.
Okay,
I've
yeah,
started using the
yeah,
teams a
so
lot.
if you
They
store
just-
your
the
templates
fire
there,
things
then
in the
that's
Fire
perfect.
department administration or
Yeah,
the
fire
general,
department and then.
yeah,
Right.
that's where I've been putting the files.
Kind of just, some of these, we're trying to iron out some of the bugs
Yes.
first,
Yeah.
before we go in and throw one in, and then a day later, we gotta change a bit, so we're kind of.
So,
So-
It keeps first.
Yeah.
Good.
yeah, that's the other thing, so, whenever we did plans, we have a control sheet, so you might want to create a control sheet for your versions, right?
Yep.
And so every year, you're probably gonna have to review a lot of these documents, so then you have a history of who's reviewed, what has changed.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
Revisions.
yeah, and a control sheet is just a very easy
Yeah,
face
like a
sheet that
table
we,
of contents.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, so,
We use them all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Mhm.
perfect.
Okay, so reaching out to the fire college for additional training, that is switched over to a brand new system now, which is much easier access for the firefighters to get access to the Ontario Fire College. Courses,
Can we just jot down what that is, put it in here on the task list on Teams,
I
and
can
you
do that,
Yeah.
yep.
can probably mark
Yeah,
that
there's a
in,
notes section, I think, that's
Yeah.
Just the. Okay.
and then we can just say it's completed, right? So.
Okay.
And then you had a whole new thing that you were doing for the new recruits.
Yeah, we have a pre-service, which I don't have any part of this, I left it in.
Oh, okay, I've got all that.
Yeah.
But
We're
we
still
know
doing
it's
the-
underway,
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
it is underway, the pre-service courses on.
and you're documenting it.
Yes, I've got an SOP, a rough draft of an SOP of how we want to train them, so that's what I fired off today in the email, that's now in my email.
Yeah.
So do you have an approval process too, Ben? So what is your approval process? Someone comes up with a great idea.
What do you mean?
So this is an approval process, so this is now a change. It's a deviant from what you're currently doing. And this is a big change, right, from what you're doing. So there should be some process to replace the old system with the new system, and then a hierarchy of approval. So if you sort of write it up, but it should have final sign off from you, then it goes to Nikki, and then Nikki signs it off. So anytime that there's a change like this, it's chain of command. And so that it's documented, everybody knows it, and then what your implementation plan is. So it's great to have it, but then you got to tell people. And again, I always use this. So, you know, Josh and Dave win the lottery and we never hear from them again. At least we have the paperwork to say, oh, you know what? They put this new thing in. So, yeah. Notice you didn't get hit by a bus, okay?
Another advantage of that, and sometimes some of those changes that we want to do, and you do them and it gets through the hierarchy, some of them do have to go to council. And part of council is it's, you know, for the approval, and part of it going to council is to communicate. So, I mean, that's how we communicate to the public when something is official on the council agenda, then it's like, okay, this is what we're doing. So if you have the pre-service courses, and this is how we do recruits, and then you're working with other municipalities on how you're going to do recruitment, then council can share that when they're in the meetings and they say, so here's our new recruitment plan, here's what we're going to do, so you know if anyone is interested. They're your spokespeople for the community, right? So we need to use them to do those.
So what we have may change slightly anyways in talks with East Ferris if we choose to do a recruitment drive with East Ferris, then we'd have to be on the same page as that.
Another revision.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, living back.
Okay.
But we just want to make sure that we're getting
We
it
still have
right
to have
from
a
the
basic
beginning,
list,
right?
yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
easier to start off and
The cloud.
have all the information now,
Absolutely.
so.
Absolutely.
I call this short-term pain for long-term gain.
Mhm.
The list for the list of current members of the volunteer firefighters has been taken care of. I did nuke that one off the list, so I don't know how it's still on there, but that's cool. I did upload it to the cloud. It's in the Teams files.
But did you go on here and mark it completed?
I did.
Oh.
Which one was it? It's in training?
The list,
List, prepare list, VFF, as of July 20, on the second page. Under training.
Cause it should say completed by,
Prepare.
completed date and completed by. So that should be listed in here.
I definitely
See,
did.
look, these ones are.
Mhm. So unless, maybe they're not hitting a save button because I'm just hitting the X, so they don't see anything else. I'm not sure, but definitely did that.
Yeah, it shows complete.
On your new one, in there,
When did
Oh.
you finish?
So when?
Was
when
that a
did
while
you
ago?
export
Yeah,
this?
that was in.
just went it last
October.
week, I
Completed 11/18.
that's today.
That's today. Mark it as. Maybe I'm
Well-
that's in progress.
You can't hide.
In progress. And I said, "Over, I want it."
You just did it.
It's done.
Yeah,
Did we mark that community risk assessment complete too?
should have.
Whereas,
The
That's
next
the
one
next
down.
one down.
Nice and done.
it's
That one's in
under
there now, you can complete it.
community risk assessment.
We have to do the annual review, but we don't have to do that till 2025, so we can just mark that as a task that needs to be completed by.
So right now, it's not started, and change it to in progress.
Well, I think that the CRA is done, but we have to do the annual
The
review.
review. So
Well,
yes,
This is the annual review. So
Oh,
we
okay,
have-
so in progress.
Yeah.
Due date is like September 2025.
I'm open.
Yeah.
September 2025.
I think this is gonna be the easiest way to keep everybody.
Mhm.
September, the end of September?
Sure.
27th, how's that?
It's also pretty
just when
satisfying
it has to be
to knock
completed
things
by.
off too, right? So.
So, and there's the thing, under the checklist, so there we have establish a working group, prepare actions and timeline. So those are a couple things that you can add as sort of subtasks to work your way through it, right? So it's not overwhelming.
And for it, if we had to do a big community risk assessment like we had to last year, you might want to have a little task force for that, so.
Yeah, and you can create subtasks or
Yeah.
additional tasks under it, right? You have to.
So budget is now budget 2025, which is on the agenda today, so that was good. IMS training was
Done, health and safety board was done. Fire permits was done. Legacies program is completed.
Yay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And is there anything, or when you go in, you can just add some of the things from your list that we talked about last week,
Yeah.
add your things in there. And then again, like the in progress assigned review date.
Okay,
Perfect, that's a huge job, so
Yeah.
well done.
do we have any resolutions for council? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, not. Okay, then. I'd say we close up this session. What do you think? Moved by Alan, seconded by Josh, that the meeting be adjourned at 6. Oh, no,
Oh.
no.
We still have. to talk about
Oh,
that.
sorry, the grant.
And the
The-
budget.
And the budget. Never mind then.
Yeah,
I don't know what's.
I like the way you think though.
We should
Never mind
turn
then.
them in.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
Okay, thank you. So this was the second round of grants for 24-25, and Emergency Management Ontario is making money available between $5,000 and $50,000, and for basically almost anything to improve an emergency response plan, equipment for first responders. It could range from anything from, we focused on communications this time, but it can be chainsaws, it can be cots for evacuation centers, so from soup to nuts. So where we kicked it off and when Chief Dave was talking about communications and that data logger, so I got in touch with the guy at Spectrum and we built on that. So that, as Josh says, requires digital radios. It has some prerequisites to it, but the benefits are tremendous, right? In terms of knowing what you did, you've got a live record of the whole event. There's one dispatch computer that came with the plan, and I added another one for the EOC in the event of emergency. To have that, if you have two of them, you say something happens to the fire hall or something happens in the EOC, you've got an alternate. It's like a main and an alternate. So we have it. It was like a couple $1,000s to get that add-on with the laptop computer. So why not, right?
Yeah.
So it basically creates a second dispatch position that you could have in your back pocket for some versatility.
It's one of the principles of IMS, which is building redundancy, right? So
the next part of it was the radios, and so hopefully I put enough radios in there, but I think there's a fair budget for it. A handheld radio, digital radio is $1,000. The additional ones that I put in the budget here, we got some flexibility when we get the money to be able to ship stuff up. So there's just give me a second, the actual budget. There was eight new digital radios and 6 radios that are analog that can be converted to digital. So that if we decide to go with a different number and get all digital, we can do that depending on how much public work need. And 14 radios, as you say, if that does a complete conversion for you, it might be a way to go, because we still have radios that work but are not necessarily digital, right? So we can readjust that. So we got the TurboNet dispatch, voice logging software, the station and mouse and keyboard, supply and set up EOC radio base stations. So the base stations are because public works and fire are on 2 separate frequencies, and there's a lot of crosstalk and interference and stuff like that if you try and operate on the same channel, or even have channels that you can switch to, because somebody's going to have it on the wrong channel and that. But one of the tenets of the EOC is to be a coordinator, a distributor of information, the collaboration center, if you will. So what we did was, the thought was to have 2 base stations here, 1 on each frequency. So they stay separate, but if we establish an EOC in the event of emergency, at EOC we would hear both radios. You wouldn't necessarily hear them, but we could respond. So, if say you needed something from Public Works, you could call EOC would relay a message to Public Works. And that's in the event that we lose cell phones, and it's just that redundancy we're talking about. And we're independent of any kind of infrastructure with the radio system, because it's pretty much standalone. We not likely to lose cell communication and radios at the same time, but like a second.
And depending on what the disaster is, I mean, when 9/11 happened, all cell phones were down, right? So because everyone's calling and jamming, so it's good to have an independent communication system. And the EOC would be doing all of the strategic planning. So, fire and public works are doing all the tactical, their boots on the ground. But if they need, if something needs to be coordinated, it's going to be coordinated through the EOC. So heavy equipment, anything like that.
So it was very much a communication upgrade for EOC and for the first responders, and a little bit for public works. But they're first responders too, right? In the event of something happening. So we, out of the $50,000 limit, we're sitting at $45,000, and
you're pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Pretty proud of that. Yeah. Hopefully that'll be approved. Everybody's got a copy of it. They can read through. A lot of it is about why we need it and the KPIs and all that good stuff is in there, so how we're gonna measure it. So if we do get the grant, we're gonna have to set up a site and track how we measure it and what success we have in it and how we're using it and so on, so that's something I can volunteer to do.
Okay. Okay, are we done now? Nope. Budget.
Budget.
It's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
You're with her. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well.
well, we're going to another
I got a
meeting.
message
Yeah, they've
from,
done
Andy saying, ooh, getting the bug here, because Rob's there.
Oh, Rob's there, oh, yeah.
Well, the budget is the
Oh,
most
yeah.
important document of
Yeah.
the municipality.
Let that alone.
So rushing is not gonna be all that great, but so. In your packages, everybody received the budget, which has the 2024 actuals as of October 31st. So there's a lot of the bunker gear that are not in there, so like take another 25 to 3,000 off. Of what's left over on the bunker gear, cause that invoice is going through this week. So that's not, that'll change the numbers a bit. And then I also gave you a legal paper, so.
2 pages.
Yeah, there's this one as well, it's. Yeah, yes. So you have the small paper with it, those are where we can put things in. The legal is in 2024, we started looking at doing 5-year budgets. So that we could start forecasting and making sure we're, stabilizing that tax rate. So. I've put 25, 26, 27, 28 in here, that's from 2024. I don't know, I mean, the 2024 was pretty much done as a silo. So the numbers in here are only reflective of what was communicated to me. So it likely needs to change. So I'll need some more communication on what that's gonna look like. So maybe for this meeting, it's you guys received this. You go back, you start thinking about, okay, no, I know I need to do this and I need to do this so that we can start planning things over. And then maybe we can have a better discussion.
What we can't do is wait till November to start spending our money. So this was a throwaway year again.
Yep.
So we cannot be in this situation again next year, okay? So we're giving you lots of notice now because it's not even 2025. So you've got to get on this.
I'm gonna sit down with Dave because
Yes.
this is my first time looking
Yeah.
at any of this as a
Yeah.
whole,
Anything-
right? And
Yeah.
seen parts of it, but not as a whole, so.
So our recommendation, I think, would be to sit down, look at it line by line, write down all of your questions.
Yep.
Anything that you have a concern, a thought, whatever about,
Absolutely.
make a long list and then book your meeting with Nikki.
Yeah.
And, but do it sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
because we're a council who wants to get the budget passed, okay? So if you're holding us up, I'll be holding you up.
I
didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Yeah, so let's schedule a meeting for before Christmas.
Yeah.
So that we can go through this. Like I have this 5-year for every department, for every account
Mhm.
in. So most of them I have what their plans are going forward. So I'm missing this piece for fire, so I'd
And
like
it's
to
a
get
pretty big
it
piece.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I'd
a
like
big
to,
piece for the
Big
township.
expensive piece.
yeah, I'd like to get it in my head in the paperwork for in December so that I have something to bring to council. Early 2025. So I know that this meeting has been a whole lot of December for you guys, but yeah.
Well, we've got to start setting
That's okay.
dates,
Nope,
right?
absolutely.
So,
Start somewhere.
yeah,
That's not a problem, we can work with that.
And if you have questions and someone's coming to council tomorrow. to present.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, I gotta talk to Josh about that. If not, I did arrange that my break is on at 7 o'clock.
okay.
So you're at work,
Oh, no, just should make your break for 7:15.
I can do that too. I can dance.
Yeah, or we could text you
We'll
and
chat.
say, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
We'll make
okay,
sure.
Okay, but yeah, someone needs to be tomorrow. to
Yeah.
present. And again, it
And
doesn't have to
officers,
be long.
like a captain officer,
Yeah,
it should be
yeah.
more than I mean, that was part of what we talked about.
Yeah.
It's not just on you guys, and we
Yeah.
want more fire representation, so.
Yeah, it's new. It should be one of you tomorrow, because this is not fair to dump on someone.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
They can
We'll get-
attend,
we'll get a
they're
handle
not
on
gonna
that.
talk.
Yes, yeah, and that's the other thing, they should be looking to see, because they may be called upon at any
Yep.
time, so here's a sample of what you're gonna have to do. right?
Succession planning.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
So maybe, and tonight, maybe you can talk to your captains about, okay, we have a meeting in December, January, February, March, we have a monthly meeting.
Yeah,
Start plotting
Yeah.
them in.
yes, and have a plan
They're
B,
supposed to be
you
here.
need to have a plan B, if this person bails on you, okay, next person on deck, right?
Mhm.
Cause we're, like, if there's no captain here next time, I'll be very disappointed, I really wanna see a captain.
Wow, wow. White's not enough, so you do a red.
Oh, I packed up all my stuff. I gotta adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Now,
Now I'm gonna adjourn.
Now that you get you don't want to.
Okay, ready? Everybody ready? Okay, moved by Alan, seconded by Josh, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:05. All in favor? Carrie?
Yep.
Okay,
You be good?
thank you. Oh,
Oh, good,
thank
yeah.
you. Sorry, there's no
How's
time for you to
everybody
talk,
feeling with all
Steve, they have to run.
thanks for coming out.
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're right.
Want
Yeah,
to
yes.
say anything?
Nope, just, I was just wondering how everybody was feeling with it. Now that the list is kind of getting underway, if everybody feeling pretty confident, or if, people are a little bit overwhelmed, or,
I'm feeling pretty decent about it, pretty good, think I got it under control. Between me and Josh and the delegations will do.
At least you're not alone, right?
Mhm.
He's got support and that's,
Mhm,
Yeah.
we're constantly chatting about this, that and
mhm.
paper flying or emails flying, text flying back and forth. So everything's moving along. We're addressing the issues as they come up and
And you're seeing them. I think that and acknowledging them, that's what's important for us. Okay, is that there's some acknowledgement that we're not crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay,
perfect.